Imagine carrying a heavy bag on your shoulders every single day. At first, you don't notice the weight, but as years pass, it begins to exhaust you. This invisible bag is filled with worries, expectations, anger, and endless thinking. Most people believe this burden is normal. They believe suffering is just part of life. But Buddhist teachings say something very different. Much of our suffering comes not from life itself, but from the way we train our minds to react to it. If you are ready to put this invisible weight down and experience real peace, these 5 habits may change the way you live forever. 1. Stop mentally chasing what you don't have. One of the biggest hidden reasons people feel restless and unhappy is something called mental chasing. Even when life is calm on the outside, the mind keeps running. It keeps thinking about what is missing. It keeps imagining a future where everything will finally feel perfect. You may tell yourself, when I earn more money, then I will relax. When people respect me, then I will feel confident. When I find the right relationship, then I will feel complete. This way of thinking makes happiness feel like a destination that is always far away. Buddhist wisdom teaches that desire itself is not the problem. The problem begins when desire controls your peace. Without awareness, the mind becomes like a person who is always hungry but never satisfied. You achieve one goal, and for a moment you feel good. Then, quickly, a new desire appears, a new comparison begins, a new pressure forms. Because the mind is always focused on the next thing, it never truly experiences the present moment. To break this habit, start noticing when your thoughts are running into the future. Pay attention to the sentences you repeat inside your head. If you hear yourself thinking, "I will be happy only when," pause for a moment. Take a slow breath. Look around you. Feel your body sitting where it is. Listen to the sounds around you. Bring your attention back to what is real right now instead of what might happen later. When you stop mentally chasing life, something powerful happens. You begin to feel lighter. You start appreciating simple moments. Your mind becomes less tense and more peaceful. Instead of always preparing to live someday, you start truly living today. 2. Become comfortable with emotional discomfort. Most people are not taught how to deal with difficult emotions. From a young age, we learn to escape them. When we feel anxious, we distract ourselves. When we feel sad, we try to hide it. When we feel angry, we react quickly, just to release the tension. We believe peace means never feeling pain. But Buddhist teachings explain that real peace comes from learning how to face discomfort without being controlled by it. Emotions are a natural part of being human. Fear, sadness, frustration, and loneliness are not signs that something is wrong with you. They are signals that your mind and body are responding to life. The problem begins when we panic about these feelings or try to push them away. The more we resist them, the stronger they often become. It is like trying to hold a beach ball under water. The harder you push, the more forcefully it rises again. Instead of running away, start building the habit of sitting with your emotions. When you feel uncomfortable, pause for a moment. Notice where the feeling exists in your body. Maybe your chest feels tight. Maybe your thoughts become fast and negative. Instead of judging yourself, simply observe what is happening. Take slow breaths and remind yourself that this feeling will not last forever. Over time, this practice creates deep inner strength. You realize that emotions come and go like waves in the ocean. They may feel intense, but they are temporary. When you stop fearing your feelings, they stop controlling your life. This is when true emotional freedom begins, and your mind naturally becomes more peaceful and stable. 3. Reduce the noise you allow into your mind. One of the biggest reasons the modern mind feels tired, anxious, and restless is not because life has become harder, but because the mind has become overcrowded. From the moment you wake up until the moment you sleep, you are surrounded by endless noise. Notifications, social media, opinions, comparisons, breaking news, arguments, entertainment, and constant stimulation. Even when you are physically resting, your mind is still working non-stop. It is processing information, reacting emotionally, and trying to make sense of everything it consumes. Buddhist wisdom teaches that peace does not grow in a noisy mind. Just like clear water becomes muddy when constantly disturbed, the mind loses clarity when it is overloaded with unnecessary input. Many people think their stress comes from their problems, but often it comes from the mental clutter they carry every day. They are not only living their own life, they are mentally living hundreds of other lives they see on screens, hear in conversations, or imagine in their thoughts. To build inner peace, you must start becoming more conscious about what you allow into your mind. This does not mean escaping the world or isolating yourself completely. It means creating healthy boundaries with mental noise. Begin by noticing how certain activities make you feel. After long periods of scrolling, do you feel calm or drained? After listening to negative discussions, do you feel inspired or tense? Awareness of these effects is the first step toward change. Make it a daily habit to spend time in intentional silence. Walk without music or distractions. Sit quietly for a few minutes without looking at your phone. Allow your thoughts to slow down naturally. At first, this may feel uncomfortable because the mind is used to constant stimulation. But with practice, you will begin to notice a powerful shift. Your thinking becomes clearer, your reactions become softer, your emotions become easier to manage. Another important part of reducing mental noise is simplifying your focus. Instead of trying to do many things at once, train yourself to be fully present with one task. When you eat, just eat. When you work, just work. When you talk to someone, truly listen. This kind of mindful living reduces inner chaos and builds a sense of grounded stability. Over time, you will realize that peace is not something you need to chase. It begins to appear naturally when your mind is not overwhelmed. By choosing what you consume mentally and giving yourself space to breathe internally, you create an environment where happiness can quietly grow. A calm mind is not an accident. It is the result of conscious daily choices. 4. Practice responding instead of reacting. One of the biggest sources of suffering in everyday life is not what happens to us, but how quickly and unconsciously we react to what happens. Many people live in a constant state of emotional reflex. Someone says something they don't like, and anger rises instantly. Someone ignores them, and overthinking begins. Someone criticizes them, and they feel attacked or defensive. These reactions feel natural because they happen so fast. But Buddhist teachings explain that this automatic way of living keeps the mind trapped in cycles of stress and conflict. When you react without awareness, you give your power away to external situations. Your peace becomes dependent on how people behave, what they say, and whether life goes according to your expectations. This creates a fragile mind, a mind that is easily disturbed, easily hurt, and easily exhausted. You may spend hours or even days replaying small moments in your head, wishing you had responded differently or feeling emotional tension that does not go away. Buddhist practice introduces a simple but life-changing skill: the pause. The space between what happens and how you respond is where your true freedom exists. Most people never notice this space because they are used to reacting immediately. But with awareness, you can train yourself to slow down. When something triggers you, instead of speaking or acting right away, take one conscious breath. Feel the sensation of breathing. Notice the emotions rising inside you without rushing to express them. This small pause may seem insignificant, but it has incredible power. In that moment, you give your mind time to move from impulse to understanding. Instead of reacting from ego, fear, or anger, you begin to respond from clarity. You may choose to stay silent instead of arguing. You may choose to listen instead of defending yourself. You may choose to walk away instead of escalating a situation that will only bring more pain. Practicing this habit daily slowly transforms your emotional world. Relationships become less dramatic because you stop feeding unnecessary conflict. Your mind becomes calmer because you are not constantly creating new problems through impulsive reactions. You also develop a deeper sense of self-respect because you realize you are no longer controlled by every emotional wave that passes through you. Over time, responding instead of reacting becomes a natural strength. People may notice that you seem more stable, more thoughtful, and harder to disturb. This is not because life has become easier. It is because you have learned how to protect your inner peace. Buddhist wisdom reminds us that true power is not in controlling others or winning every argument. True power is in mastering your own mind. When you create space before action, you create space for peace, and in that space, wiser choices begin to shape your life. 5. Remember deeply that everything is temporary. One of the most powerful habits you can train in your mind is the habit of remembering that nothing in life is permanent. At first, this idea may sound simple or even obvious. Everyone knows that things change. Everyone knows that time moves forward. But very few people truly live with this awareness in their daily life. Most people behave as if their current problems will last forever, as if their fears are permanent realities, and as if their painful emotions are endless storms with no clear sky beyond them. Buddhist wisdom places great importance on the understanding of impermanence. This is not meant to make life feel meaningless or sad. In fact, it is meant to free you from unnecessary suffering. When you forget that everything changes, you become mentally attached to both pleasure and pain. You panic when good moments begin to fade, and you feel hopeless when difficult moments arrive. Your mind becomes tense because it is constantly trying to hold on to what cannot be held and push away what cannot be avoided. Think about how often you worry about situations that feel overwhelming in the present. A problem at work, tension in a relationship, uncertainty about the future, fear of failure, or even regret about past decisions. In the middle of these experiences, the mind creates the illusion that this emotional state will last forever. It whispers thoughts like, "This will never get better," or "My life will always feel this way." These thoughts are not reality. They are reactions created by a mind that has forgotten the natural flow of change. When you train yourself to remember impermanence, your relationship with life begins to transform. You start to see emotions as passing weather instead of permanent climates. Anxiety becomes something you can observe instead of something that defines you. Sadness becomes an experience you move through instead of a place where you feel trapped. Even anger begins to lose its intensity because you realize it is just a temporary surge of energy, not a lifelong identity. This habit requires daily awareness. Whenever you feel overwhelmed, gently remind yourself, "This moment is changing even now." The feeling you have at this exact second is already beginning to shift. Your thoughts are moving. Your body is adjusting. Time is flowing. Nothing is frozen. This realization may not instantly remove pain, but it removes the fear that pain will never end. And removing that fear creates space for calmness to enter your mind. Impermanence also teaches you how to experience joy more deeply. Many people rush through happy moments without truly being present. They assume good things will always be there, so they do not appreciate them fully. But when you remember that every moment is temporary, you begin to value simple experiences. A peaceful morning, a meaningful conversation, a moment of laughter, a quiet walk in nature. These become precious because you understand they are part of a constantly changing life. This awareness reduces attachment and increases gratitude. Instead of clinging to people out of fear of losing them, you begin to love them with presence and kindness. Instead of obsessing over future success, you begin to engage more sincerely with the work you are doing today. Instead of fighting against life's natural uncertainty, you start learning how to flow with it. Another powerful effect of understanding impermanence is the reduction of ego. The ego wants stability, control, and certainty. It wants to believe that identity, status, and achievements define who you are forever. But Buddhist teachings remind us that even our sense of self is constantly evolving. The person you were 5 years ago is not the same person you are today. Your beliefs, priorities, fears, and dreams have all changed. Realizing this helps you become more flexible and compassionate toward yourself. You stop judging your past harshly because you understand that growth is part of the human journey. Practicing this habit also builds resilience. When life becomes difficult, instead of collapsing emotionally, you develop the quiet strength to endure. You know that pain has a rhythm. It rises, stays for a while, and eventually fades. You learn patience. You learn trust in the natural unfolding of life. This does not mean you stop taking action or improving your situation. It means you stop adding extra suffering through resistance and fear. Over time, remembering impermanence creates a profound inner peace. You become less reactive to temporary setbacks. You become less anxious about uncertain outcomes. You become less desperate to hold on to things that are meant to change. Your mind starts to rest in a deeper understanding that life is a continuous movement, not a fixed structure. This awareness does not make you passive. Instead, it makes you wise. You still set goals. You still care about relationships. You still work toward improvement. But you do these things with a lighter heart. You do not tie your entire happiness to outcomes that are beyond your full control. You learn to participate in life without becoming imprisoned by it. When you truly understand that everything is temporary, fear begins to lose its grip on your mind. You stop postponing your happiness. You stop waiting for perfect conditions. You stop assuming that today's difficulties define tomorrow's possibilities. You begin to trust that change is always happening, even when you cannot see it immediately. This habit, practiced consistently, slowly transforms the way you experience existence itself. You move from tension to acceptance, from anxiety to patience, from clinging to openness. And in this openness, a quiet and stable happiness begins to grow, not because life has become perfect, but because your mind has become free. Remembering impermanence is not just a philosophical idea. It is a daily mental practice that can protect your peace, deepen your gratitude, and strengthen your courage to face whatever comes next. 6. Learn to sit with yourself without escaping. One of the most overlooked but powerful habits for inner peace is learning how to sit with yourself without constantly trying to escape your own mind. In modern life, silence has become uncomfortable for many people. The moment there is nothing to do, no one to talk to, or no distraction available, restlessness begins to appear. The mind starts searching for stimulation. It reaches for the phone, for noise, for entertainment, for conversation, for anything that can prevent the experience of simply being alone with one's thoughts. Buddhist teachings explain that this inability to sit with oneself is a major source of suffering. When a person is always running away from inner silence, they never truly understand their own mind. They remain strangers to their own fears, desires, patterns, and emotional wounds. Instead of facing their inner world with awareness, they spend their life covering it with activity and distraction. This creates a fragile sense of happiness, one that depends heavily on external stimulation. The moment life becomes quiet, anxiety begins to rise because there is no longer anything to hide behind. Learning to sit with yourself is not about becoming isolated or disconnected from the world. It is about building a strong inner relationship with your own existence. It is about developing the ability to be present with your thoughts and emotions without immediately trying to change them, suppress them, or run away from them. This habit requires courage because it means turning your attention inward toward areas of your mind that you may have ignored for years. At first, this practice can feel uncomfortable. When you sit quietly, you may notice how busy your mind actually is. Old memories may surface, regrets may appear, worries about the future may begin to play repeatedly. Many people assume that silence will bring peace instantly, but in reality, silence first reveals the chaos that was always there. This is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that awareness is beginning to grow. Buddhist mindfulness encourages you to observe this inner movement without judgment. Imagine yourself sitting beside a river, watching leaves float by. Each leaf represents a thought or emotion. You do not need to grab them. You do not need to fight them. You simply watch them pass. Some leaves move quickly, some get stuck momentarily on rocks, but eventually all continue downstream. This is how the mind naturally works when you allow it. Space. As you practice sitting with yourself daily, something remarkable begins to happen. The intensity of your thoughts starts to decrease. The emotional charge behind certain memories weakens. You begin to understand patterns in your behavior. You notice how certain fears repeat themselves. You see how your mind creates stories that are not always true. This awareness gives you the power to respond differently in real-life situations. Instead of reacting automatically, you begin to act from understanding. Another important benefit of this habit is the development of emotional independence. Many people rely on others to distract them from their own discomfort. They seek constant company, validation, or approval because being alone feels threatening. But when you learn to sit peacefully with yourself, you no longer depend on external noise to feel stable. Your happiness becomes less conditional. You can enjoy relationships without needing them to fill an inner emptiness. This does not mean you stop valuing connection. In fact, it often makes your connections healthier. When you are comfortable with your own presence, you interact with others from a place of wholeness rather than neediness. You listen more deeply. You communicate more honestly. You are less likely to tolerate relationships that disturb your peace because you no longer fear being alone. Sitting with yourself also strengthens mental clarity. In the constant rush of daily life, decisions are often made impulsively. People move from one task to another without reflection. But silence allows thoughts to settle. It gives your mind the opportunity to process experiences and gain insight. Many of life's important realizations arise not during busy activity, but during moments of stillness. This is why meditation, contemplation, and mindful solitude are emphasized in Buddhist practice. Over time, you may begin to experience a subtle shift in how you perceive yourself. Instead of identifying completely with every thought and emotion, you start to see that there is a deeper awareness behind them. Thoughts come and go, but something within you remains steady. Emotions rise and fall, but there is a quiet presence that observes them. Connecting with this inner stability creates profound peace. You realize that you are not just the noise in your mind. You are also the space in which that noise appears. Practicing this habit regularly can transform the way you handle life's challenges. When difficulties arise, you are less likely to panic or seek immediate distraction. You have trained yourself to remain present even in uncomfortable situations. This ability builds resilience. It helps you face uncertainty with calmness rather than fear. You become more patient with yourself and with life's unfolding. In a world that constantly encourages speed, stimulation, and external achievement, learning to sit quietly with yourself may seem unusual. But Buddhist wisdom reminds us that true happiness is not found by endlessly adding more experiences. It is discovered by deepening our awareness of the experience we already have. When you can sit alone without feeling lonely, when you can observe your mind without feeling overwhelmed, when you can rest in silence without needing escape, you begin to touch a deeper form of freedom. This habit is not about perfection. Some days your mind will feel peaceful, other days it will feel restless. The important thing is consistency. Each time you choose awareness over distraction, you strengthen your inner stability. Each moment of mindful solitude becomes a small step toward lasting peace. Learning to sit with yourself is ultimately learning to accept yourself. It is recognizing that you do not need to run away from your own existence. Within the quiet space of awareness, healing begins, clarity grows, and a calm, grounded happiness slowly becomes your natural state. If you have listened carefully, you may have started to realize something important. Peace is not a reward that life suddenly gives you one day. It is not something that appears when all your problems disappear. Peace is something you slowly build through awareness, patience, and daily mental habits. Most people spend years trying to change the outside world while ignoring the inner world that shapes how they experience everything. They chase success but remain anxious. They seek relationships but still feel lonely. They achieve goals but cannot escape restlessness. This is because true happiness does not come from controlling life. It comes from understanding the mind that is trying to control life. The habits you have discovered are simple, but they are powerful. When you stop mentally chasing what you don't have, your mind begins to rest in the present. When you become comfortable with emotional discomfort, fear loses its authority over you. When you reduce mental noise, clarity naturally appears. When you respond instead of react, your relationships become calmer and your self-respect becomes stronger. When you remember that everything is temporary, attachment begins to loosen. And when you learn to sit peacefully with yourself, you discover a quiet strength that does not depend on constant distraction. These practices do not transform you overnight. Buddhism teaches that inner change is like water slowly shaping stone. It happens through consistency, not intensity. Some days you will feel peaceful, other days old habits will return. This is part of the journey. Growth is not a straight line, it is a gradual awakening. What matters most is that you begin. Even a small shift in awareness can change the direction of your life. The moment you start observing your mind, instead of being controlled by it, you step onto a path that leads toward freedom. Not freedom from life's challenges, but freedom from unnecessary suffering. Remember, happiness is not hidden somewhere far away. It is often buried under layers of fear, comparison, attachment, and mental noise. By practicing these habits, you slowly remove those layers. What remains is a calmer, wiser, more stable version of yourself, a person who can face life with courage and compassion. Your peace is not something you need to wait for. It is something you can begin building today, one mindful moment at a time.